Today I'm going to tell you about the homemade AC kit that I built for my truck. Finally got it completed and it's working now. And I showed in a YouTube short this AC compressor bracket that I had made. I used a universal bracket to mount a sanding compressor to like a York style compressor mount, and then I made a plate under that to mount it to the engine. And there just so happened to be a belt laying in the back of the truck that fit just perfect, so didn't even have to buy a belt. And you see here I got all the lines are custom made and crimped. I've got the tool to crimp the hoses and such, so just had to buy the hose and the fittings. And the compressor is a 7H15 model. That's the part number, also known as a Sanden 709. It's the 7-cylinder greater displacement compressor. And this is not an actual Sanden, it's a knockoff Chinese brand, but it seems to work okay so far. And I've got the dryer mounted up here, made a bracket, and I went with the factory condenser. Well, I bought a new one, but it's the factory style. And you can't really see it. It seems to be an updated version because it has flat tubes, and I think originally in this truck it would have been the round copper tubing style, so this design is probably more efficient. See, I got the relay wired in for the AC clutch. The hoses run down the fender well and underneath they run along the frame to the back of the vehicle. And into the truck right about there. And here's the universal evaporator unit I bought off of eBay. I made the bracketry and everything to mount it back here. You can see I've got the drain hose over here, and I made a plate to put the control panel because it doesn't come with, you know, any mounting stuff. And this unit is actually about twice the size of most of the underdash units. You see at the back where most of them have just one blower wheel, or one blower motor with two wheels. This one actually has, you know, two blower motors and a total of 4 fan wheels. It moves a lot of air, and I figured I'd go with as big a evaporator as I could fit and just experimenting around, and it seems to work pretty well. Here's where the hoses hook up, and of course the expansion valve comes mounted on the units, the old style kind, and then the hoses go through the floor. I took the time to put the nut certs in the floor so where the bolts just thread into for easy removal and everything. Here's a closer look. Have a drain, condensation drain on either side of it. I would say that the system works as well as a modern car. It's actually surprisingly decent. The only shortcoming would be that the evaporator unit is in the back behind you, so it doesn't blow the cold air on your face, but it still cools the interior down pretty efficiently. And the reason I didn't go back with the factory AC stuff, as you can see when I got this truck, all the AC stuff was missing, including, you know, this box is broken and half of it's missing, and I didn't want to put it back on the firewall because I thought, you know, some people say the 6.9 diesels have head gasket problems and things like that. And I thought it would be really handy to be able to get rid of all this original box and have more engine compartment space. So that way it makes it easier to work on if you had to pull the heads or something like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and start it up. So that's the lowest speed. There's the highest speed. As you can see, it moves a pretty good amount of air. It's enough to blow the headliner around up here. it actually cools at idle pretty well. I was afraid it may not, because it doesn't seem to pull a lot of air over the condenser at idle. The fan clutch doesn't seem to, but it really does cool at idle too. So I guess whatever is engineered and worked out pretty well as far as the factory condenser goes. Already dripping condensation out of the drain. The hoses are already condensing water. Well, the suction hose is already condensing water on it too. It hasn't been running very long, and it's just been idling. And the vent temperature here on the thermometer is already down to 60 degrees. So that's not bad for idling. And the ambient temperature outside is probably about 90 degrees, very high humidity. And driving around, it can get down into the upper 40s, something like that. And so that's pretty good. As I understand, the humid air is harder to cool, and it does a good job of pulling the humidity out of the air. Well, that's about it for today. I wanted to update you on what I've been doing lately and how this project's coming along, and you can comment if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.